Good morning, everybody. Kevin Cage back with another daily cryptocurrency video. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you like what you see, and let's get right into the information today. So we have Cryptopolis here. Guys, this is a legitimate gentleman, always on Brad Kimes' show, has years of experience in the financial markets, and I always value his opinion. He always has some very interesting tweets and puts a great spin on things, so I highly recommend you follow this guy if you are not already. And basically just making some comments here on this woman's tweet here. So bonds lead, stocks follow. This also drives the narrative that third rate cut harkens peak in stocks. And she's talking about the mid-cycle adjustment regarding QE, quantitative easing. Now, what I find interesting is a lot of people are saying, like Greg Manarino, yeah, people are going to be looking for safe havens with negative interest rates when the banks come, even potential bail-ins, skimming 10% of your retirement funds, legally binding, being a U.S. citizen. There's some crazy things that could potentially happen. I mean, obviously, you can put on your tinfoil hats and be a crazy conspiracy theorist, but honestly, reality is oftentimes crazier than fiction, so anything is possible. I'm not smart enough to know what's going to happen. I don't know if anybody could really tell you how it plays out because there's that human element, but what I find interesting is a lot of people believe that there's going to be precious metals, platinum, silver, gold as the typical safe havens, but also as we are moving towards a digital economy and tokenizing all these assets, real estate, stocks, bonds, securities, you name it, people are also looking towards cryptocurrency because you can hold them in cold storage. You own the private keys and nobody can take that money away from you. You can keep it private, relatively speaking. If you're talking about privacy coins as well, that's not something that I stick to. But again, anything can be valid. Now, his point here, talking about a bear market with the stocks, I think that we're going to see, an artificial pump, and then eventually we are going to see a crash, whether that's tomorrow or 6 months from now. I do think it's going to be severe, unfortunately, but that's just my opinion. It could just be a very, very minor recession. I'm not even sure if we've officially really entered into one. It'll, take a few quarters to really determine that. But again, guys, if you're aware of the QE going on, you're aware of the circumstances. And the key issue is liquidity just in 2008. I know there are various causes, but there's always a central theme, and it is that keyword liquidity. Now, right here, a bear market in stocks does not guarantee a rise in crypto. Now, that's just our belief. That's many people's hope. However, now this is why I'm very confident still. Where would you put your money if every single stock market in the world is declining and we have negative interest rates around the world, but you still need liquidity, instant on-demand liquidity in 3 to 4 seconds? XRP. That is why I look at XRP as much more than a mere cryptocurrency. This is truly, truly, truly a bridge asset, a digital asset that you can build on top of the ledger. It has a consensus algorithm. The validators are decentralized. It truly is going to create and be one of the, I believe, instrumental forces to create the Internet of Value, along with smart contracts and interoperability, like interoperability protocols such as the Interledger protocol, and then along with smart contracts, I forgot to mention Codius. But again, there's plenty of other platforms that can be used as well, and I think that the best assets will survive. I think that there's going to be a handful. I do not think it's going to be 2,000 to 3,000 cryptocurrencies like we see today, but what's wrong with a couple hundred, top 50, top 10? I still think that there's plenty of use cases, utility, and there's, just like the analogy I used earlier, there's plenty of internet service providers around. There's various, rebrands and third-party resellers of those services as well. So I just think there's enough really for this ecosystem. All right. Right here, this is kind of interesting. So basically, this is a press release. I don't know how accurate this is. We'll see if this actually comes out tomorrow. I'm actually filming this video at night, talking about Binance launching BNB as an exchange-traded product on the Swiss stock exchange. So will we see a price pump, additional liquidity for this asset? Perhaps. I think if anything, this validates BNB, Binance Coin, as an investment vehicle. Binance is one of the largest exchanges, not Binance US, but the real Binance exchange. And I think there's tremendous upside with this project, provided that there's, not too much manipulation. I can be a little cynical sometimes with the Chinese markets, but again, and then for those of you that don't know, here's the website. I don't know if it's pronounced Moon, but somebody can let me know. Regardless, we've talked about this with these cryptocurrency basket indexes, index funds, essentially. We already have Bitcoin. We have, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, all named here. And we knew this was launched back in November. I know we covered this, but again, BNB could be an interesting thing. I'm considering doing a little swing trade, just kind of holding it. I know it recently did pump. Basically, within 24 hours, it's up 1%. In the last 7 days, it's up almost 15%. And typically, I only buy in red. But when there's news like this, I mean, I might, try to swing a little bag and then just overall improve my position in XRP, or just hold a few other alts just in case. All right, right here, Galaxy BTC. I know we've seen this earlier, but I just want to basically emphasize this again as we are approaching Swell. I believe Swell is, again, this is Ripple's conference annually. This is going to be in Singapore this year, which is interesting. I think Singapore is one of the leading countries in innovation. We know the Singapore dollar was just linked on Binance as well. And we already know that they are really going to innovate utilizing XRP with XRapid, especially with those corridors. Now, basically, there's always been a pump. And when I'm saying pump, I mean a dramatic price increase for XRP leading to that event, typically 2 weeks before. So this person's advice, this is not financial advice. Let's just see what happens. I'm personally just sitting on the sidelines. Obviously, you guys know I'm longing XRP long term. How long is that? Until I'm happy. All right. I have, various exit points, but if you really believe in the project, you're going to hold a portion for life. So long 2 weeks before Swell, and then short, or AKA sell, when the event is over. And you can either take profit or double down on your position if you're lucky. So right here, typically in 2017, compared to the US dollar valuation, XRP rose by 115% in 2017. And then 2018, we knew how huge that was. Within like 3 days, it went up from, all the way up to like 80 cents or whatever it was. It was unbelievable. I remember during my commute, I was literally just looking at my phone going off, and I couldn't believe it. I thought this was it, and we were going to see $4, $10, $20, but not quite. So nobody really knows if this was pure anticipation, or if this was market manipulation, or just some type of little test on XRapid. All right, and then after the event, typically dumped in price again, down 43%, and then down 51% in 2018. All right, so we will see what happens. I want to kind of hear your input. Again, guys, we are catching on. Market algorithms and trading bots are intelligent as well. Will we see this same type of hype? I'm curious to see what kind of big events or partnerships or news will be released at Swell. I think this has been the most bullish year for XRP, and historically, this has been the most boring year in price action. We are literally at basically all-time lows relatively in the last 2 years. So anybody getting in now, you are very, very lucky. Some people bought at $3.30. So just think about that. Be grateful, because the upside is tremendous. All right, I'm going to read this. This is City Sharif. So basically just discussing, and again, the new IMF managing director is Kristalina Georgieva, and I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so I'm sorry. But basically, he's kind of going over a speech that she gave and some other people were discussing during an annual meeting. And I want to go over a little bit and kind of read between the lines. Yes, this is speculation. Sit down and listen. So as Brad Garlinghouse has stated in his interview with the new New York Economic Regulation, and here's the quote at the Economic Forum, regulation doesn't have to be changed. Ripple works within the current system. So Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, is almost hinting that they're already regulated for the most part. MoneyGram is a legal workaround around the current framework. So perhaps we are not waiting on regulation, but what are we waiting for? Are we waiting for some form of economic disaster? Are we waiting last minute until we absolutely have to? I wouldn't advise it, but hey, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. So I just kind of want to read what City Sharif here says. So there are still negotiations happening in order to get the even playing field, or the level playing field. And this is just a quote. On-demand liquidity says it all, and this uses XRP. Ripple is done laying the pipes, laying the infrastructure. The rest is currently up to politics now. They have to decide. The countries have to decide, the central banks, the people with the money and infrastructure. So this is what the head of the IMF has said in her speech. Here we go. Our goal should be to fix these fractures. Our world is intertwined, so our responses must be coordinated. We also need a more modern global trading system, particularly to unlock the full potential of services and e-commerce. Absolutely, e-commerce making it 24/7, 365 in terms of settlement would be huge. Liquidity is tied up, guys. Our countries, to really fulfill globalization, we need to exchange value. We can exchange goods with logistics. We can exchange information via the internet. Not value quite yet on the settlement layer, the fundamental hierarchy of, really how the central banks move, instead of just doing all the credit and debit systems. And man, I saw an interesting video earlier on the London Real, the YouTube channel. Million subs, well known. And they were discussing money and discussing interest and credit and debit and the entire system and how it really is just all fake. It was really interesting. It got me thinking. But anyways, I digress. The key is to improve the system, not abandon it. The results are clear. Everyone loses in a trade war. For the global economy, the cumulative effect of trade conflicts could mean a loss of around $700 billion by 2020, or about 0.8% of GDP. As a reference, this is approximately the size of Switzerland's entire economy. So we need to work together now and find a lasting solution on trade. This requires difficult decisions and political will, but it is worth it. The time to jump is before your feet get wet. Exactly. The time to move is before a crash. If this is true, if we wait until the next crisis, it will already be too late. We need to act now. We also need to act together in unison. Conclusion: if the global economy slows more sharply than expected, a coordinated fiscal response may be needed. And that's my belief, personally, if this does occur. Now, is XRP included? Hey, it can be a pipe dream. I am not leading with the expectation that we're going to see $1,000 XRP thanks to saving a political crisis, but who knows? I've seen crazier. So let me be clear. We are not there. But when it comes to preparing for the possibility of a coordinated response, we should remember the advice of Shakespeare: better 3 hours too soon than 1 minute too late. Our research shows the changes in spending are more effective and have a multiplier effect when countries act together. I agree. Or put another way, if the synchronized slowdown worsens, we may need a synchronized policy response. Next week, as our 189 member countries gather together in Washington, I urge them to come prepared to find solutions. I am confident that if we cooperate, mindful of each other's challenges and interests, we can deliver a better future for all. And that's where I really think level playing field comes to play. So very, very interesting, guys. I don't want to, be that hype channel. Nobody knows at the end of the day. I'd be happy to see XRP reach all-time highs again, but I think with true utility, it'll far, far surpass that. All right, so just keep your expectations in check. It's great with all those crazy conspiracies and seeing 3-digit, 4-digit XRP. But, last year it did damage a lot of people's expectations, and it gave the XRP community a bad name. Let's all just be adults here. All right, let's stick to the facts. And I know I still speculate, don't get me wrong, but you still need to speculate with an investment. So just try to keep level-headed, keep me on my game, and don't be upset if I'm challenging you and, making you maybe think again that XRP won't go to $100 overnight. All right? I'm investing based off utility. I want to be realistic with you guys. All right, so again, that's Kristalina Georgieva. Next, King Solomon, XRP_owl, just connecting the dots between SABB, and for those of you that don't know, this is the Saudi British Bank, basically $10 billion in assets, and they are one of the 5 largest Saudi banks by deposit, and then actually, in which British banking firm HSBC Holding owns a minority stake in. So they're connected to HSBC. HSBC has been advertising that, basically that motto saying level playing field, which is very interesting as well. And that is the key word. Basically been priming the masses for a year now talking about that, whether it's Donald Trump or, any news medium that you see. So connecting the dots, and again, RippleNet and HSBC, we've already known and we've heard that HSBC is hypothetically, discussing going live. We already know that they are a RippleNet partner. And this leads him to believe that, Saudi British Bank, I'm going to make sure I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, Saudi British Bank can leverage HSBC Net, and HSBC Net can leverage Saudi British Bank, I'm going to say SABB Tech, which is Ripple enabled. Now, how do you know that? Well, according to the documentation and the sources here, as such, as SABB is one of the 3 banks approved by the central bank to test connections with Ripple for instant settlement of cross-border transfers using blockchain. Guys, instant settlement, that utilizes XRP. Now, we have just gone live end of December 2018. Now, does this mean they're using, full throttle billions of dollars? Absolutely not. There's no way to hide that volume. We would be seeing that. There's no private pipelines. You cannot do that. It would still influence the price on some level, period. Again, it's open sourced. It's, it's just how the XRP ledger works. So for those of you that try to, be conspiracy theorists and think that that's how it works, you're wrong. That FUD has been dismantled a long time ago. All right. And basically you get the gist. Just another connection. I don't need to go into depth with that. All right, almost done. Now, great gas speed. This is cool, talking about XRP and collateralized loans and the stablecoins being built upon the XRP ledger. So here's another one for XRP bail-in and bail-out fans. Ripple stopped the over-the-counter sales, OTC sales, right as collateralization is introduced. And again, collateralization, we've been hearing about that. We've seen David Schwartz's proposal video on YouTube as well, talking about building stablecoins and collateralizing them with XRP on the XRP ledger. This is building liquidity for XRP. This is awesome. This could be very, very good. Best case scenario, guys, a lot of people are dreaming, and hey, it's possible long term. We don't know that people could actually build fiat systems or gold and precious metals and tokenized, real estate as stable coins pegged to XRP. All right, so you think these FIs, financial institutions, are going to collateralize their debts and assets against what will be an appreciating XRP now? Welcome to the plan/show. Collateralization occurs when a borrower pledges an asset as recourse to the lender. To the lender in the event that the borrower defaults on the initial loan. Collateralization of assets gives lenders a sufficient level of reassurance against default risk. Okay, makes sense. And then Michael Zischek was kind of debating him. Greg Gatsby was defending his point. And then basically right here, yes, asset has its own price feed with the stablecoin. The stablecoin can exist because of its collateral in XRP, as the world cannot trust who owns what other than being pegged to an algorithm that verifies the existence of XRP. Exactly. And now when it's collateralized to that XRP, say that coin is worth, 1 XRP, 5 XRP, that XRP, to my knowledge, is locked up in escrow, reduces the supply of XRP, hence increasing the demand, hence increasing the price. And adding liquidity, adding volume on the XRP ledger increases price as well. And there's various multiplier effects as well. All right, and then last one here, going hand in hand with what we were just talking about, XRP Neo. Warning, speculation, so put your hats on, guys, but we need to talk about this because this ecosystem is growing faster than ever. Ripple never ceases to amaze us with the innovation that is at hand. And keep in mind, I think it's like an iceberg. We know 1 to 10% of what's really going on, and history has shown that. So if, for example, stablecoins would be collateralized by XRP as David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple, proposed, I guess that would then increase the liquidity of XRP, buying the XRP for collateralizing it and then selling it later on. You then solve the volatility issue. Imagine several stablecoins for fiat currencies are used for this, and perhaps even gold. And again, that would be awesome. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's possible. Why not? We're moving towards a digital cashless society. Every country has been discussing this. Central banks are talking about digital currencies. Even the Bank of International Settlements, IMF, literally the mother and father of central banks in the world, are talking about digital currencies and adopting them. It should be a no-brainer for you guys. All right. And again, not to be the opposite of an anarchist, but this would give them, centralized control. But luckily, with something like XRP, it would really hopefully level the playing field and there'd be less manipulation. I'm not sure what could happen in the implications. To be completely transparent, like many of you, I'm assuming. I'm passionate about the technology and I research so much, but I'm here to get a return on my investment, make money, and do what I can when I can do it, and just take advantage of the situation and ride the wave. And I just want to be transparent, and I'd imagine many of you are too. You're here to make money and look at this like an investment. So again, this would solve a chicken and egg problem. When stablecoins get used, that increases the liquidity of XRP. After stablecoins have become commonly used, collateralized by XRP, then XRP is that much more liquid. Then XRP can become used in other use cases, since it then is a lot more liquid from all of these stablecoins. More liquidity makes even on-demand liquidity XRP, XRapid, much more suitable in cost savings. It allows perhaps bigger transaction volumes with trade finance, so we can transact trillions instead of a mere billions. There's so many use cases that open up. We can get into the derivatives market. On the low end, it's 544 trillion, and the high valuation end for derivatives, that is $1.2 quadrillion. Open your eyes, guys. For those of you that say XRP will never pass $1, XRP can't pass $10, go do your research, please. If you do, you'll realize. All right, guys, I've talked your ear off enough. Hopefully some of this information is valuable, and I'll see you in the next video.